Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I really enjoyed the first talks. So I'm going to sort of continue a little bit from those, but have a slightly different slant. Because it's clear to everybody in this room that technology is back, and this time it's personal. So here we have a guy. At a group of geeks meetings, I managed by mistake to say that this was an Oculus Rift. Can anybody tell me which one this is? That's right, it's the Samsung. Thank you to the first speaker of the day. Clearly knows her stuff. So the whole point is there that this guy's clearly in heaven. You can't see it, it's cropped, but there's another mocha waiting down there. He's in heaven. He's sucking away, watching what can only be 3D porn. I cannot imagine it's anything else. Now, the most important aspect of this picture is, of course, this guy. So I Facebooked or tweeted this picture on a T-shirt that says, "Dance like nobody's watching you and encrypt like everybody is." So the whole point is here that technology is moving closer and closer to us. And this leads to this term that was invented not that long ago, the quantified self. And it was invented in America by Americans who then believe that the more we quantify about ourselves, the more we know. Now, my wife is from Romania, and in Romania, you can get anything if you pay very little. So I thought I wanted a full body scan from an MRI scanner. So I had the ultimate quantified self. I have it it's on a DVD, and you can watch yourself, all your slices. And I talked to a friend of mine who's a doctor, and it cost 300 euro, right? 300 euro, you get an MRI scan. The guy who had the scanner, he couldn't get a scan some years earlier. He decided, he was a restaurant owner, so he opened the restaurant, and in the back of it, he built a scanning house and had staff, and you could get a two deal there. You had a full body scan and lunch, you know. Who doesn't want a full body scan and then lunch? So I got the full deal there, and I talked to a friend of mine who was a doctor who says, well, it's not necessarily a good idea because there's constantly something wrong with most people. But we live life happily without knowing it. So just because you can know more, you know, there's oversharing, there's over-knowing. So we have to be careful about this. And also, of course, we tend to then focus on what can be measured instead of all the other things. But nonetheless, this is very exciting. I'm very excited about this, and I think it's going to be very interesting. It just needs us to rethink a number of things, and not only the quantified self, but other aspects as well. So here we have Elastigirl, who says, from The Incredibles, has anybody seen the movie? Pixar, the best movie company in the world. They have a new movie coming out called Inside Out, about what goes on inside our brain. I'm looking forward. Your identity is the most valuable possession. Protect it. Now, the point is, one of the main reasons why we need to think about privacy is because there's all sorts of spans of people. As I argued before, I couldn't care less people looking at my iPad or my phone. It's very boring what goes on there. But other people, so I'm pretty much in one extreme end, but I know people who are at the other end, the so-called tin foil hat division. You know, I talked to a guy once, he's a technologist, and he only has mobile phones with these pay-as-you-go cards, and he throws a card away every week. And he would never register his credit card. Well, credit cards, what's credit? No, they'll know too much about you. So the point is, because there's such a huge span of what people's preferences are, it's much better if we let people decide themselves what they want to share. And this is the argument I'm going to make, is this is not very good. Because the essential argument I'm going to make is that in the 21st century, things are happening that need us to rethink how we relate to businesses that we do business with. But the businesses are still somewhere between the 19th and the 20th century, and that's a problem. So if you look at how we typically engage with the businesses that do business with us, that's actually, they do business with us. We don't do business with them if we're individual consumers. And the same goes for the government, to be honest. They engage something called customer relationship management, CRM systems. And they are basically systems that assume that we are like little parts in a machinery to be constructed out from extremely poorly recorded data and very crude measures. So if you interact with a typical bank, I would imagine there could be up to 5, 6, 7 different systems they engage with, and have up to about 16 different green screens that are maybe on a PC, but they're served by some old clunky mainframe somewhere. And this is how they understand you. So the easy way of describing the problem we have now is that the companies that do business with me, they're like a boyfriend, and I'm the girlfriend, right? So those of you who are boyfriends, you might not know, but those of you who are girlfriends, you'll know exactly what I talk about. So a boyfriend is somebody who, when you want to get hold of him, he's busy, he's out with the mates having a pint, he's been partying all night, and you've been sitting there holding whatever you have left to hold, maybe the baby, that's even worse. He comes home 1 o'clock at night, holding a kebab in one hand and half a pint of bitter in the other, saying, "Come on, love, let's do this," right? So the point is, he's never around when you want him. When he wants you, it doesn't matter. So if you take an example of a major mobile operator, I'm not going to mention their name, but they have a red and white logo, which I've been with for many years, and they generally do very well, except when there are problems. So when there are problems, or when I feel like chatting, let's have a talk. Let's have a little talk, my little operator. Man, they make me work. Push this, push that. I had my account broken into, and phones were stolen, and numbers hijacked, and out of no fault of my own. It cost 4 months of hard work on my part, 6 visits to the Vodafone store in Elton, and that's not a pretty sight, I'll tell you. And you go to the Vodafone store, and the person in there has to wait online and press buttons and talk to somebody who doesn't know either. It's a mess. Yet when I'm on holiday in Fiji, on the other side of the earth, Vodafone calls me. "Hello, it's Vodafone. I want to call. I have a kebab in one hand, half a pint of bitter in the other. Can we talk upselling?" "No, I'm in Fiji, and you ought to know where I am." So the point is, this is a broken system, and it's broken because it's based on the customer relationship management telling the operator what to do and me how to engage with it. And this means that there is some sort of privacy bottleneck. So I'm not really interested in privacy, but it's a boundary to making more innovation. So if you take, let's have a grab in my pocket. This is my credit card. Here you go. This is an Oyster card. So if I have an Oyster card, I can either queue up behind hundreds of other people to top it up when I want more money on it, or I can link it to my credit card, or I can indeed use my credit card as my Oyster card, and I never have to queue up. So this is privacy versus convenience, a very typical balancing act. Now the point is, I'm quite happy to do this because I'm not a 19-year-old Muslim man. If I was, I would never in a million years do it because of the false positives. What if those guys at TfL, they suddenly realize that the bombing of 2020 is somehow down to me because I had these patterns of behavior? So the point is, if I want the convenience, I need the trust. And there's only one entity in this world that are less trusted than commercial enterprises, and that's the whole world of politicians. So globally, politicians are the least trusted entities, and after that, private companies. So this is a real problem we have, that if I'm going to give them the data to get the convenience and have more engaged relationships, in relationships, it's easier to buy milk because you don't have to share your life than to have a relationship than to be married. To be married is hard work, but also more rewarding, but you have to share. You have to know something about each other, even if you keep something secret. And the point is here, if I have to tell my friendly mobile operator everything about me, like where I am, what I'm wearing, all sorts of things, I need to trust that those guys know what to do with it. And also I can revoke that right whenever I'm a little bit annoyed with them. And this is what Doc Searles has written a book called The Attention Economy, when customers take charge. And he has coined the term vendor relationship management, saying, if I'm doing business with you, why can I not be the one in charge? And so the symmetry can be brought more into place. So for example, if I record all my movements, and I record my DNA, and I record my likes and across my life travel, and I give all this, I give access to my Facebook graph and all sorts of things. I record long interviews with myself about what I feel and think and have automatic algorithms analyze that. I might be happy to give intermittent access to that to an insurance company to give me a better premium. Now, I wouldn't do that because, as you can see, I'm not big on exercising. But if I was an exercise freak, I might be able to have a little bit of an advantage in getting a health insurance by sharing my activities. Now, the point is, I had an insurance issue very recently with our sink cracking. So I called my insurance company, and after this, I didn't even take it out. There was a too big excess on £200, so I fixed it myself. But because I reported this insurance case, for some reason, I'm now cold called twice a week by people saying, you recently had an accident. We can help you. You're owed money. And I'm thinking, direct line, how could you? How could you? You have misplaced my trust, although they might even not be the ones doing it. There might be some other metadata somewhere and some other guys who came and took a picture of my sink that left it somewhere. So the point here is that the only way to solve this problem of the privacy bottleneck for us to reach the next level of intimate engagement with commercial enterprises who help us in our lives is for us to be in control of our data. And it's called personal data stores. They hardly ever exist. Nobody uses them. There are a few around, but we need those. The problem is they would go straight ahead the Google model of exercising everything, taking everything, and helping you without you having a chance of having a say. And I asked Eric Schmidt, because I had dinner with him at the LSE. He came to launch a book, and we had dinner, and I said, okay, Eric, why can Google not do more of what Apple is doing on the phone? Before it uses the microphone or your location, it should just gently ask you. And he said, well, it'll never work. It'll never work. It'll be too complicated. And I'm thinking, no, it won't. It'll be more than necessary. But it's a massive design challenge, and I'll be happy to discuss it while, this is an Elastigirl screen. Thank you ever so much for your time.